the night before, but I did my air conditioning. I ran and wood. So we chopped wood. Yeah, actually, the very first I was wondering, I know that one is real. Yeah. There's about 10 people in this room. Yeah. Oh, I just said to my what do you guys feel? And I thought you said you look scruffy. That's what I thought he said. Yeah. So the one you wanted to do like Sissy and I were doing. Sissy and I were climbing all the off half and climbing up for the because everything's slippery and muddy on the trail. Yeah. So yeah. So we're in our what else do you know? You're desperate. Alexander and I decided upstairs. So we would look over those and we find our own way to get up. And it was so much easier. So stair climbs were silly. But it was a blast in Maggie. I got stuck. I got stuck. You're like, which is the best footing to go? I just went going back to sleep. And then I called her. She enjoyed that. So we make that blood. Deep. I could drink take what you have there. Not all the like 3, 6, and the rain stop. I was really sick for Seattle because I just really this is just it like filled that. No. Did you see that? And the telescope.
Yeah, he told me that. Get back to he said they had no idea. Josh Larry.
And I opened it and the Barlow lens was there. Well, that lens is on the side. If you're looking at a big object like this, you want to see substance in it. So with that in there, we're touching past the stars. We're like anything. So as soon as I can put it out,
So you know what? That's what I would do. Just put it back out. Sit down. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call to order, and everyone's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We stand for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Mr. Barlow. Mr. Carr.
Here.
Mrs. Piscato. Here. Mr. LaFever.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Here.
Mrs. Meisel. Here. Mrs. Van Meter. Mr. Whitcomb.
Here.
Mr. Hatter.
Here. And I'm going to announce we've had some executive sessions over the last few weeks about personnel matters. May 20th, May 27th, June 1st, and we are about to make a short executive session for personnel matters, just a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back. So we're going to adjourn this one.
There it is.
It's got quiet on the fast.
Where's Howie? Howie's warming.
I'm working on it right now.
Look at that. No control.
Thank you.
She kept going. Kept going. Wait till it brings out temperature. Got a big loop every once in a while. Yeah. Start to break down.
Okay, we're all here. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the 11th meeting? Do we have a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Approved? Reports or presentations tonight? No, okay. There's obviously no student representatives, no building comments. We're going to open up with public comment. Dean Thomas is up to that first.
Hello, my name is Dean Thomas. I have something to say for the good of the board and the community. I noticed that the advertisement for sealed bids on property has been repeated in the newspaper. Many bids been received?
Not yet.
Have any applications been received for superintendent or assistant?
Well, this is a one-way discussion right now. We'll get to that when we get to our comments.
On May 19th, a primary election was held in Pennsylvania. Does this sign look familiar, Mr. Matthews? It appears to be your handiwork and may explain why you received all of 5% of the vote. Interestingly, this sign was removed from a med-ed pole in Highland Township. Last time I checked, Highland Township was not in Fairfield area school district. For Marcy, Lonnie, and Pam, I'd like to introduce you to the winners. And I have a suggestion for the rest of you, for the good of the school district. Please resign now before you do any more damage. Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Myers from Liberty. At the last school board meeting, I had expressed some concern about our gifted program, and since then I've talked to quite a few parents who are in the gifted program who are also unhappy. And I have an email from one of those parents who allowed me to read some excerpts from her email. And this was addressed to this group. I want to let you know that we are once again frustrated with what is or is not going on regarding our daughter's gifted education. Our concern is twofold. Your daughter's not getting adequate time to complete her assignments in class, nor does she have access to the technology that was made available to her. She goes on to talk about how her daughter never has time to complete her project. She was assured that her daughter would be able to complete the projects during class time, but she was not. She would end up bringing them home. Projects would be started but never finished. A computer was supposedly made available specifically for her, but that computer mysteriously evaporated into thin air, and she never saw it. I'm not going to read this entire letter because it's very long. At our meeting on May 14th, you stated that this should not be the case and that these projects should be completed during class and gifted time. Once again, these projects found their way home for completion. These concerns have been brought to your attention on more than a few occasions over the past few years. As it was mentioned in our August 14 complaint to the Department of Education, which they found Fairfield Area School District in violation of our daughter's GIEP, and corrective action was ordered. Unfortunately, this has not resulted in better services for our children. So since then, I've talked to actually quite a few school districts about their gifted program. Fairfield has a stellar program, Upper Adams has a stellar program, Gettysburg has a stellar program. Our program is seriously known as a joke to the other school districts, and that's very embarrassing and frustrating. So I want to know, in what direction is our gifted program going? That's it.
Jeannie Haynes.
I'm Jeannie Hayes from Carroll Valley. I'm going to read this because I do pretty bad when I should clean it up. I've been attending board meetings pretty regularly since last August. I've spoken, I've listened, I've watched your body language, and I've watched people sitting amongst you text other people. The majority of you still continuously show your characteristics of being devious, nasty, shifty, spy, tricky, cowardly, deceitful, indirect, malicious, mean, secretive, snide, unreliable, unscrupulous, and untrustworthy. And these are some of the words I got when I didn't know the word sneaky. These characteristics are how you are known in our community. You may have a small circle of people who believe otherwise, but as a whole, the community truly knows who you are. Their closed doors, living secret emails, voting records, they all prove that the majority of you never cared about the true education of our students at the school. All three schools. I would like to know what your plans are to increase student enrollment in our schools. You've been really busy talking about how numbers are decreasing, which I assume gives you the opportunity to cut positions or not replace people once they leave. But what are your plans to increase enrollment? You're leaving many students to homeschooling, cyber school, and families moving away to our school district. That's not effective. I know some of you do not believe in the public school system, and a lot of us here really do, and that's what we believe in. We want to see our enrollment increase, and since technically you work for us, what are your plans to increase our numbers for the next school years?
Hi, my name's Nina. I'm here to express my concern about item A on the consent agenda or other action items. The board intends to offer Ms. Kugler the superintendent position at the June 22nd board meeting. I was wondering how many applications were received, but I don't think I'm going to get that answer right now, and maybe we can later. And out of all those applications, how many applicants did you actually interview? Because I think it said they were reviewed, but it didn't say they were interviewed, so I wasn't sure. It seems to me that the board intends to hire Ms. Kugler for the superintendent position without interviewing or considering other applicants that applied, and I certainly hope that I'm wrong. When Mr. Chain was hired, the board reviewed the applications and the entire community was part of the hiring process. Teachers, administrators, parents, and board members participated. Ms. Kugler will receive almost a $60,000 increases between last year and this current year. Bill Chain served in the district for 8 years, and for 4 of those years, he never took an increase. The superintendent should be a leader and lead by example. If Ms. Kugler is hired, she will be paid almost $40,000 more than Mr. Chain made after 8 years working in the district. Ms. Kugler has no prior superintendent experience, so I'm not sure that this is justified. If this board interview candidates and found them to be qualified, we can possibly hire a more qualified superintendent and still save taxpayers a substantial amount of money. And I was going to say thank you, but I thought of one more thing because of 3 minutes. And Mrs. Piscato, I just wanted to ask you, in the minutes it said something about lunch meal prices and students should be required to take care of that. through the possible increases throughout the years. So the taxpayers aren't given the burden of supplementing that. So I thought, well, I mean, that's putting the burden on children and families. You know, some families have more than one child. So I was wondering if you realize that the taxpayers are going to be burdened with paying the increases given to the superintendent for future years. You may not have, or you may have given them temporary relief for the last 2 years by using the fund balance to cover last year's budget and this year's budget. But the fund balance is not going to be able to be used forever. I mean, that's a savings account that you guys are depleting. And you're telling your friends that you're not raising taxes, which you're not, but you know, in the years to come, those salaries are going to have to be paid. And those increases are going to be paid forever because future superintendents are going to expect those increases when they come. Thank you.
I wanted to say I was really excited on May 19th for the voter turnout this year compared to last primary election. We were over 50% increase in our voter turnout. I, along with many others, feel like this group of people right here and before us is the biggest reason why our community stood up and spoke. Our community has spoken loudly, and I hope every one of you are listening to what the community is saying. We don't want any more of these backslide deals. When you talk about you can't take something to the community when the community is standing right in front of you, when the community is here telling you what we want, you need to listen and quit making excuses for the small minority of your friends. My biggest concern as I spoke at the last meeting was the sudden disappearance of our summer school program. This is a public school in the state of Pennsylvania. Things that happen in our public school are to be discussed at public meetings, and not once did anybody at a public meeting bring up the fact that summer school was going to be dissolved for the elementary school kids. Ms. Kugler and I exchanged some emails, and the first response that I got from Mrs. Kugler was that we didn't receive the grant this year for the summer school program. However, I had talked to the state and had looked up our numbers, and we did receive the grant. It simply changed names. I pointed this out to Mrs. Kugler, and she agreed, yes, you're right, it did change names. Not only did we receive the grant for enrichment this year, we received twice the amount of money this year than we did last year. We had the summer school program last year and the year before, and it was a wonderful asset to this community. These young children going into third grade, when they first have their first state test, need to be up to par. And without this summer school program, many of them will suffer. Teachers next year will have to pay special attention, and they don't have the aids to do that. So not only have we failed our elementary school kids with the summer school program, we failed the community by not discussing it with them. We failed as parents by not letting us know what was going on. It's a sad time. And Ms. Kugler, I was very disappointed in both of your responses. You're treating me as if I don't know what's going on. Trying to find excuses for why this isn't happening without telling me the truth.
Well, let's see, I certainly agree with April. I was going to bring up the subject of summer school. I think it's very important to the elementary school kids. Last year I worked with Mrs. Theodore, and we did summer school up there, and I found that it's very enthusiastic. Maybe too late now, I don't know this year. If at all possible, I would like to see summer school reinstated. Molly had it down in college. This subject I don't think has ever been mentioned in a long time. Caroline attended meetings here. I see where some of the school districts are taking the civil servant cafeteria and maintenance workers, making them contractors. I would vote against that if I were on the board because I feel there's an obligation to these folks. They're sort of like civil servants. And if you take their benefits away, you wind up seeing most of them retire, which is what didn't happen on the Adams. And therefore, I think you lose it with people. So one thought is, I don't know if you would consider that. Every say we save money, I'm not sure you will. again, security, I would like to talk to all of you on security sometime. I heard from the folks in town, we had 87 grads. Newspaper said 88. Was there a mysterious grad or? Anyway, using the number 87, I would like to ask, how many new students do we have coming in at this point as scientists? What's the balance for those going in versus those coming in? And over the years, people have written me in for school board membership. And I thought about it, but I was always the mayor. Of course, you can only do one job, you can't do two. And I see the way the folks beat up on you guys, folks, women. And I think it's easier being a mayor. So anyway, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Bill.
Jeannie, I'm shooting from the hip.
Yes, okay, good.
First, I would just like to address student representation. They're not here, and unfortunately, Mr. McDowell isn't here. But I am requesting that the board and Mr. McDowell possibly look into the incoming junior that's going to fill that seat, making it an elected position, possibly student council. But as all board members are elected, I also believe that the student representative should be elected by the student body of the school district, or at least the senior high school. That's where they their representation. I'd also just, in looking at the minutes, I wasn't at the last meeting, and I did not do a lot of research on this subject, but Mrs. Surface said something about losing $2,000 in her field trip money for outdoor school activities. My remiss, I did not research it, I did not get a chance to talk to her. But I just want to talk about the importance of outdoor school. I know there's a need for summer school, but let me tell you, my kid could probably use it, but he needs to be outside, playing in a creek, and be outside. And I think that it is important for kids today. Actually, I was doing fever. So they saw you at the fish hatchery the other day. There are a lot of activities in this community that we can get kids outside with. My husband volunteers. He's worked with 4th graders and 7th graders just this year, taking them over to the fish hatchery, and that's at no cost. So if you are eliminating any from an outdoor school, outdoor field trip budget, I would like you to look at that, because I really believe that learning needs to be hands-on and engaging, because we have a whole lot of kids sitting in chairs who just are not ready. And the more hands-on we can do, especially as they get older, I think that's important.
Thank you. First,
Did they release the fish?
They did. All the fish are safely swimming. Well, maybe not
Was it
safely.
about 200%?
Oh, they have like, there's close to 4,000. Actually, the fingerlings come in June 30th. The babysitting.
Ian Straight.
Ian Straller from Carroll Valley. I've written something down about 5 times. I don't really like the way it came out, so I'm just going to wing it. I think I share the same concerns that the majority of the community does. And I want to ask you guys as the board as a whole. You know, you asked Ms. Kugler to verify your plan. I want to know what your vision is for our school. I want to know what you plan to do for our students. The roof needs repaired, we need technology, all those things are. What are you doing for our kids, for our education? I see a budget that is going to be passed that has increases in salary to top administrative positions. I see hours for our teachers' aides being cut, and other benefits and things that could really benefit our students directly taken away. I have a daughter who struggles in math, everyday math. They do it every day, and she gets told for help once every 4 days. That doesn't really work. She could use extra support. She could use extra help. Picking up these concepts that they're taught every single day, once every 4 days. Okay, so we do the support and how the rest of the time. Try and keep her up to date. I want to know what you guys plan to do for our students, for our board. Ms. Kugler is the best candidate for superintendent, then I will support her. But from what I've heard, there have been several other good candidates that applied that aren't even going to get interviewed. Don't you owe it to our community, to our students, to pick the very best person to fill that seat with the person who is going to serve them to the best of their ability? If it's Ms. Kugler, fine. If it's somebody else, you owe it to them and to our students to interview them.
So I've missed the last couple of meetings. I've kind of, as all the other parents here, stay current whether I'm here at a meeting or not. I just want to express my appreciation to the staff and students that did a fabulous job with graduation and the Safe and Sane party. My son graduated Friday night with the other seniors, and it was wonderful. But it's sad when my son isn't excited about graduating because I'm done with school. It's because he's away from this and he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And it's because of the majority of the board and the action that you all have taken over the last couple of years. I think it speaks volumes. When one of the students who is speaking at graduation and talking about the things that the graduating class has survived through their 4 years of high school, and without coming out and saying it, says they've survived the drama that's been created by the school board in our community. If that doesn't hit home after all these parents speaking volumes over the last 9 months, I don't know what will. It's just sad. Again, you know, as everyone else has said, we hear all these plans, but you never talk about what you want to do for our students. And that's the bottom line. Students first. Thank you.
I'd actually like to talk about a couple of things. First, I'd like to echo what's been said regarding the summer school program. It was never brought up. It was never voted on by this board that I can recall. And I've been attending these meetings pretty regularly since last spring. To me, that is a dereliction of the duty of this school board to cut a major program that many kids rely on without ever bringing it up for public comment, for public vote, for public discussion. You just did it in the back room. And I've said it before, I've used this phrase so many times standing here, the back room deals. The superintendent position. I read the agenda for this evening, and it said that Ms. Kugler was interviewed, and there were several good applicants. Again, I'm going to reiterate what Ian Strehler said, and that is that it reads to me like you looked at a couple applications, you shuffled through them, and you tossed them off to the side and interviewed Ms. Kugler. You didn't interview other qualified candidates. That again is a dereliction of your duty that you stood up 4 years ago and said, I'm going to be on the school board. Those were your duties to do. You didn't do it. You're dropping summer school without talking to the public. You fire a superintendent behind closed doors. You hire another one behind closed doors. You have email strings between each other. And lucky for you, you have a friendly DA that decided not to prosecute you guys on that behind closed doors. So I'm going to ask you what you plan to do going forward. You can leave this school board with a legacy of people who did everything behind closed doors. You can leave this school board as a legacy of sneaks and cheats. Or you can leave this school board with a legacy of people who said, in my final hours on the board, I decided to do the right thing. And I would ask you to do the right thing. I know there are members of this board that do the right thing, and they've done it many times. There are a lot of others that choose not to. Some, I don't know why. I don't know why people choose not to do the right thing. Also, on another topic, I would also like to support Ms. Surface's learning, or her outdoor learning program. I think it's a great program. I've learned a lot of things outdoors. I've been outdoors a lot. I've chased one of your school board members up a mountain several times, and I've learned a lot about myself in those times, being outside. So outdoors is a way to go. You don't learn anything looking at a computer screen or an iPad. Also, one other thing, I was looking at the budget online, and it seemed pretty vague. It shows that we're increasing administrative staff salaries. We're spending so much money on maintenance, but how much money, what are we spending this maintenance money on? $50,000 on maintenance. Well, that's 10 lawnmowers or one pickup truck. Don't know. And again, the whole summer school thing. We're cutting summer school money. We got a double grant, and yet we're raising the superintendent's incoming salary by $40,000. Even half of that, or 3/4 of that could go to fund the summer school program, and we choose not to. Please, I ask you again, do the right thing.
Well, the education committee came in today to meet. We were 2 weeks early for the meeting, so we did not meet. Okay, so maybe on 22nd.
Okay.
I would like to schedule it prior to next meeting. And Howie, a question, will the brickwork be done before the end of the month because that's the end of the year, or will it be carried over into next year?
I'm very hopeful, I'm hopeful it will be finished.
It will
He
be.
was going to do it last week and I kind of put that by the wayside because of graduation. I just didn't want to mess around here during that time period. So, yeah, and I didn't want him saw cutting walls with kids here. So,
I
yeah.
do,
Yep.
And one other question, do we have any other leads?
Yes, there's one in her classroom that destroyed her project.
Where?
In her classroom, it destroyed her project. The Ferry House project, in Mrs. Tucky's classroom.
Oh, okay. He tells me we do have. I'll have to look into that tomorrow.
All right, thank you. If you would, appreciate that.
Any other meeting chair reports? Any director comments? Comments, director?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I take exception to Jay Hayes' remarks. I think it's typical. You are not that kind of people who make remarks like that. And I'm not a person to take remarks like that. So, that's what I take exception.
Does anyone have anything to add? It's not, the public comment period is over now.
I'm sorry that I was late coming in and you already removed paper, I couldn't sign up.
That's, I'm sorry, but the public comment's over. Do you have any comments?
For summer school, the reason it's such a grant is for summer school. And the grant that you all refer to, the old one used to be called the ABG grant. When we received it 13-14, we got $64,733. That money was spent for the salary of one teacher, which was a kindergarten teacher at the time. And part of it was spent on, and, you know, most of you know it as Plato, but the Adventum, which is the online cyber program we use. In 14-15, ABG rolled into what's called Ready to Learn grant, which was worth $118,631. That grant was written for and approved by the state for the salary of 2 kindergarten teachers. As far as summer school, it's never been a grant. It was operational money within the district. That's where it was funded from. That's how it's always paid for. I confirm that. I mean, that came directly from Caroline Lee, because I really didn't know how it was funded in the past, so I went and asked.
And to back that up, you have your email. I received this morning. There is no such program. You have that from them.
Well, Karen, if it was operational funds, is there room for the finance committee to take another look at that program? See if we can fund it all some other way, or I think that behind us.
That's why.
Yeah.
So is it appropriate to make a motion that our finance committee relook at that program?
No, not necessarily, because we talk about that.
They
That's
need
why
to make
the
a recommendation
confirmation.
Well, it's too late now.
for tonight.
Well, but the students are out.
Yeah.
Can I understand? It's too late now to get that back in the budget?
I think what, I think you should
Saying
correct me
it's
if I'm
too late.
wrong. I don't know. I think what Dan's trying to say is that it's probably too late because we don't have the input from teachers as to who's really needing the services. That can be
Or
one
how
question.
you know of that and
Okay.
have them give that information to the kids or the parents to get that we're now going to run something.
Oh, we get the information.
So.
I'll get the
that
information
could
out.
be
Don't
looked
worry
at
about that.
Next year, but we're not, not this year. Is there,
Can-
any other?
I know it's not
direct-
public comment,
I'm
but
sorry, this is not.
can you
the
address
public
what
comment
happened
period-
to it, why it got cut
The
and
public
when?
comment period is over now.
Can you
Thank
address why we were told it was a grant and it wasn't?
Is there any other director?
Mr. Lee, Mr. Fever, I'm sorry. Does, next Wednesday, 17th, work for you for finance committee?
That's for the.
When was that
Is
meeting?
that for the finance
Wednesday,
committee?
17th.
What time?
Mr. Fever?
I'm sorry, I'm asking questions, but what time is the public meeting?
Marcy isn't here, and she's one of the members.
Well, you as the chair can call it.
We can put it out 5 minutes before?
So it will be out tomorrow morning.
Decide, you don't
I'm
need
trying to
that.
do it for now.
6 o'clock, 6 PM, Wednesday the 17th.
6 PM. Wednesday, 7.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments? No? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to pull?
On B, I'd like to know what following programs. And C, what services are not being provided by.
Wait, do you
No,
want
I
to pull
just
them?
want an explanation.
Okay.
And on, not O, but under P for the, or R, I'm sorry, under R, put the $95 rate on there for the minutes, so that we have to explain it. And for T, could list those who meet the requirements of the list the individuals.
In the minutes?
Yeah, in the minutes, and typically we also have a list of graduates.
I think I actually already approved that a while ago.
Yeah, so if we could put them in this minutes of who graduated. Originally, it was 95, and now down to 80.
It was 86, I believe.
This would be very, or is it substitute? You're thinking of substitute.
This is substitute staff.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's one in here about substitute.
Support staff.
Right.
Okay. Just want to answer on B and C question.
Yeah, on these. On the federal, on which is the are those things that are currently not on the
Excuse me?
Are those things that are not currently, because if I recall looking at the federal, the seats for federal, they're substantially low, so programs.
Could you read the item out loud that you?
I can.
Please?
Move to authorize the administration to apply for and operate the following federal programs. Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, vocational education, and any additional programs in which funds might become available. And all this is doing is authorizing us to complete the grant, the consolidated grant, which is due by the 30th of June.
Understand, but I'm wondering, are these currently in the figures for?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
That's
That doesn't say.
And C is move to contract with the LIU number 12, which is Lincoln Intermediate Unit, for those of you who don't know that, for special education services not provided by the school district for 2015, 2016.
Okay, and we had a discussion before about some services that they weren't providing. So does this cover all the services that we need?
Yes.
That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is item number I, with the dentist that's on retainer. Just curious what we do with the dentist on retainer.
I wanted to know that same thing.
We actually, well, I'll have to retain one, and they have to be provided, they actually are here to do dental checkups, because at certain grade levels they are required, so if a parent can't afford them, we will provide that.
What was the other question? My other question is in reference to all the people that are resigning from their positions. That trend is alarming to me. And I want to know if there's any background that somebody can let me know what's going on with these coaches that are all resigning at one time.
What I do is every year, they get a contract extension and some hold off to whether they want to come back or not. I know, 2 of them are about childcare, just things like that. 2 had a difficult season this year and didn't want to come back. But they're given the opportunity all year long, whether they'd like to come back or not. And then if I haven't gotten anything, I usually go after them in May and ask them to let me know so that we can have all summer to get people in this position.
Okay. So it's not a compromise on whether all that is or something.
No, no.
And I do have one of those.
Okay. Are you done, Lon? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, the other one I have real quick is on L, and it has to do with the physician. What does it have to do with athletic training service?
It's the
Okay.
sports trainer.
I can read this to you, so. Move to approve the contract with WellSpan Health for physician services and athletic training services. This is a 3-year contract commencing August of 2015 and ending June of 2018. The dates coincide with and are based on preseason fall sports and possible championships for spring sports. The contract cost is $29,000 for each year contract year and represents no change in the current expiring contract. This is for our athletic trainers.
It's for Heather.
It's not only for our Heather, it's for all the services that WellSpan provide for us. The doctors come to all of the football games. They are required to be there via PIAA. Heather attends home and away district games, state games if we have anything. She's also here during all the practices, all the preseasons. And then she even sometimes comes in over the in-between seasons. So that actually accompanies all of everything that WellSpan provides. WellSpan also provides all the physicals for us over the summer. There's free physical dates. They provide that. That is included in that amount. And this year we also had included in that the impact testing, which in the past we paid approximately $600 for. And with going through WellSpan to get it this year, we actually were able to save $120.
The reason I asked the question is in previous years that I had not been, which is.
But we still have to pay it.
I understand, but I wasn't sure.
It used to be 2 separate contracts, and now it's all combined into one.
I move that we pull and table
Discussion, I'm pulling for now, I through P of the consent agenda. Just curious about myself.
There's a lot of issues here that we're seeing for the first time. And they all involve money. And there's no discussion of alternative contracts other than the waste management, where they say they didn't get any more, maybe we should be trying again. I don't know why all of these issues. I would like an explanation from the administration as to why they seem to need for all of these.
Okay. Is there any other items to pull? We have a motion to go ahead and approve A through H and Q through double C. Is there a second? Okay, go ahead, roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion on that? Okay, we have roll call.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Piscato?
Yes.
Mr. LaFever?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mrs. Meisel?
Yes.
Mr. Wickham?
Yes.
Mr. Hatter?
Yes. Okay, and let's go back to Matthews. You want to go ahead by item? Take the poll. Yeah. I think I was already responding to, as far as the PD requires that, correct?
Have we ever put out potential contracts for letters? Persistent. Have we bought others?
No, we have not.
Caroline, 'cause I
He's local, and we've been paying this the same amount for many, many years. He has not raised it.
There's other demos.
Yeah. Right back behind, and that's cool. With all due respect, Mr. Matthews, he hasn't raised this. Every time I call, I expect, it's been years, and he just keeps it the same.
Do we know what that includes?
I don't.
Yeah, but do they still, like, do we pay additional fee over that, or is that just a one set fee and he covers any needs?
It's one set fee, and he does cover one.
Okay. Yeah.
On, Jay. Well,
Oh, no, we're just.
we're
We're
doing
gonna
discussion.
explain it,
We're doing
explain it,
we're
and
doing
we'll-
discussion. We're doing discussion. Jay,
Says for many years, we use the same insurance company. Have we priced it?
I did last year and in the year prior, and they consistently, because they never raise, they're always lower. So this year I did, because last year I did, and I think they were, if I'm not mistaken, it was around $500 or $600 cheaper than the closest one. And also, there's not a lot that provide exactly what we need. A lot of them will throw other things into the pot that you don't need that you're stuck paying for. But this is strictly our student accident insurance as well for football, as well as the accident insurance that the parents can purchase. So yes, I have bid this many times in the past, and these people continue to just not raise.
okay, item K, the waste management, is that, I'm assuming you want to know if that was compared to any other.
Well, providing us substantial increases every year, it says they were the only one who responded to the bid, and we tried to go out a second time for other bids.
A little bit of history on this. A few years ago, Waste Management was our provider, and they were charging us $16,800 a year. I thought that was a little bit incredible. So we put it out to bid, and they were the only provider that responded. And they responded at $6,800, which is a little shocking. I think they went very, very low to retain business. This year, again, we put it out to bid. We put it everywhere we can possibly put it. And they were, again, the only person that responded. And it's still at $93.59, considerably less than the $16,800 that they used to charge.
What are the other schools? Who are the other schools?
I don't, how you know Gettysburg uses? I don't really.
No idea.
Every school district has different needs. We're very small and a bit out of the way from some of the other routes. I do know that one that Howie spoke to a while back, it's just not convenient for them to come through here. I thought this was good considering what we paid before. And that they're the only people that, and I can spend the advertising dollars to re-put it out, but we called the folks that we thought might have some interest, told them the bid was there, and this was all we got.
This one's athletic training services. Now, do we have further explanation on this?
I mean, it covers everything that we need for all athletic programs. The $29,000 has been the same since Carolyn, how many years?
Well, we had a 3-year contract that just expired at $29,000, and this is another 3-year contract at $29,000. So that'll ultimately be 6 years at no increase. And I say no increase, but they're actually throwing in, like she said, the impact testing that we used to pay privately somewhere else for. So actually, for all that they do,
They do a lot. You've had kids in, like in an athletic program, have it there all the time, and if they're injured, they go to the Wellspring Clinic. They do a lot.
And with doing that, because we also send our kids to the rehab clinics and things like that. WellSpan has also given the school districts an opportunity where you can't get a physical a lot of times. Our kids run into the situation where they had a physical in May, but PIAA doesn't allow it to be used at the athletic season until after June the 1st. And a lot of insurance companies will allow them to get another physical. WellSpan offers physicals for $15 then at one of their
participating rehabilitation centers or physician centers. That's just, one of the many offers that we get by being in a contract with WellSpan. And then if Heather is on,
If there's injuries, they
Yeah,
tape them up, they do whatever on the site.
well, and not only do we have Heather here, Heather is the trainer assigned to our school district, but if she is not able to be here, she has a big pool of athletic trainers that she can have come and cover events. If she has something, family or something like that going on, we always have a trainer, we never are without one. And that's one of the big things with WellSpan is most of the school districts around here have WellSpan, so everybody is kind of familiar with everybody else and familiar with all the school districts.
This one,
What is it?
It's moved to approve raising the hourly support staff insurance contribution for the 2015-16 fiscal year to 8% of the premium with a 1% reduction for participation in the wellness program if applicable, and a spousal surcharge of $35 per day effective July 1st, 2015. The spousal coverage buyout for 2015 to 2016 is $2,000.
okay, what is the current percentage? 7%.
7 and 8 respectively. If you look at M and N, M's just dealing with the hourly support staff, N's dealing with the salaried support staff. So it's a 1% increase.
Where's this going to put us with the Cadillac provisions under the Affordable Care Act?
Cadillac,
Is it going to solve the problem?
Cadillac tax, which is a very serious concern, is unaffected by what you have employees, their copay, their premium share.
It's a combination of what the employee pays and what the employer pays. It's based on a combination of both.
No, the Cadillac tax is strictly your benefit plan. You could have an employee pay the whole thing, and you're still gonna be at the Cadillac tax quota, okay? So regardless of what our folks pay against the premium, it's the actual premium, which is based on the benefits, that are gonna make us hit the Cadillac tax. So when we get, currently we're in a contract, but certainly, I don't think it goes without saying that when we review the next contract and we review it against the Cadillac tax provisions, that's certainly gonna be a big piece of the negotiation. I don't think that's a secret for anybody. And we're gonna have to look at that. And I'm actually working with the actuaries to see, based on our current plan, when would we hit it? Originally, the estimates were 2018. So I'm having them look at some different changes and how those changes would affect it. But ultimately, that's gonna be up to somebody else to accept and decide.
So that really, that covered M and N.
Well, I wonder why we're doing a buyout for spousal life. Why hasn't the spouse on their own insurance rather than on the school insurance? Why do we go someplace else and get it from their employer? Doesn't make sense to me to pay my spouse who's got an opportunity for insurance from another employer, pay her to go get that insurance. Doesn't make sense.
I asked that question last year, and I was told that wasn't negotiable. That's something we had to own.
That may be true for the teachers.
That was one of the collective bargaining.
But the rest of the staff is not under the collective bargaining. So why are we paying what's under the collective bargaining?
Richard, I remember Bill Chain saying that to have the buyout was actually cheaper in the end rather than insuring them. That's why we
That
went
doesn't
ahead,
change.
that's why we went ahead and did that. But then, anyway, but the contracts that are here, all this was settled prior to many of us being on the board. So here we are, you're dealing with it. It's a conflict.
But these are not subdivisions, they're not part of the binding contract that was entered into previously. So these are issues that can be negotiated at this time with the staff. That you don't automatically have to give them what's in the contract with the teacher.
Mr. Matthews, if it does help, we didn't have that many support staff take advantage of the buyout, but the ones that did, it is a savings. I mean, it's.
You could have a bigger savings by not having it covered at all.
Why don't we take it up?
Well, that,
Thing on the 17th.
I'm not here on the 17th, but y'all can.
Yeah.
Table. Table that short. Well, let's continue with discussion. Go ahead on the OG. Well, yeah, let's go on to our to approve salary increases of 2.3%. That's higher than the national average. It's much more than our retirees are receiving. Social Security.
What is the national average?
It's
Military got 1%.
How much percentage would the super?
All right.
1% with
I'm sorry?
Brooke asked if anyone wanted to address it. I think what it was a parity with the collective bargaining contract, and that was, they were just trying to keep that online with the collective bargaining.
Well, I think it's.
Again, just because you got bad numbers in the collective bargaining doesn't mean we need to perpetuate the rest of them.
Mr. Matthews, I think, and we can look at some other point in time what these folks actually make, but 2.3% on these individuals is around $25,000 altogether out of a $16 million budget. And it is very hard to, and I'm just gonna say this maybe personally more so than professionally, but it's very hard for, you know, the professional staff is getting a raise and the administrative staff is getting a raise. And then you have the people who are much lower on the scale, with all due respect. I think 2.3% at 25,000 out of the total is reasonable. And maybe we change and we look at something.
They could go someplace else.
Yes.
And I understand trying to save money, but I don't know if we want to.
No doubt.
Allocate money more appropriately.
And I think the people who work extremely hard in this district every day to keep things running beyond professional staff and administrators
Okay. We have a
motion and a second to pull them and to table them. We need to vote on that motion.
All the stuff you talked about.
First of all, that we have to satisfy the original first and second, which was to table, table, items I through E. So let's take a vote, first table all of the items, and then we can adjust it.
Well, I have a question. Did some of your answers get answered that you don't need to table all of them?
Separately.
You want to withdraw I through L.
Okay. All right, let's do one thing at a time. I through L, we have a motion to approve I through L.
Wait, don't you have
How do
to
you just-
allocate?
Mr. Saber has to be there.
You withdrew.
So we're gonna skip it.
No. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I through L. Okay, let's go ahead and, is there any further discussion? Okay, let's roll call I through L, approving those only.
Mr. Whitcomb, Mrs. Meisel,
Yes.
Mr. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. LaFever, Mrs. Piscato,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Barlow, and Mr. Hatter.
Yes. Okay. Now, Mr. Matthews.
That MNOP taken up the finance committee. All you have to do is vote. I made the motion. If you don't get a second, then you guys can go ahead and vote. But if I get a second, then you just go vote.
Okay, the motion is to table M and P and to be taken up in a budget, finance meeting next week and then make a recommendation at that point. Do we have a second? Okay, we do not have a second. So, okay, do we have a motion to approve MNOP?
So made.
Do we have a second? Okay. Agatha, any further discussion?
Yeah, before we voted, the total sum of those 4 items is $25,000 or thereabout.
That
The
was
support
total.
staff increase for the hourly and salary is about $25,000. Just raw salary.
That's their whole group. That's not an individual, that's by their staff.
What about the other?
M&N for just that group of people, including a spousal buyout, which like I said, we have very few people take advantage of it for the ones that did it was the savings. Not just in the 1-for-1 premium dollar, but in the event one of those spouses were, God forbid, to take ill, they're not on our plan. And that utilization is huge, I'm sure you know that. That actually saves us about $44,000 a year. Just on those 2 groups.
To Mr. Matthews' point, you could just have a policy that says if your spouse has insurance offered or somewhere else, you don't get insurance.
You could certainly.
But I'm guessing it's an
That would think
Not
that
necessarily, there are opinions that would need to be given with respect to equity between different employees in the district, and there is lots of conversation about that under the Affordable Care Act, so I would not say that is absolutely. If you want to do an analysis and get an opinion on that, I'm sure your
that would be.
provider will have some opinions on it.
Yeah, that would be another meeting recommendation to the solicitor. So do we have a second? Okay, let's go ahead and, there's no further discussion, let's do a roll call. This is to approve M through G.
Mr. Barlow. Mr. Carr.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiscato.
Yes.
Mr. LaFever. Mr. Matthews.
No.
Mrs. Meisel.
Yes.
Mr. Wickham.
Yes.
And Mr. Hatter.
Yes. Okay. Takes us up through, other action items. And we have a motion to approve other action item A.
a motion to amend the action item. I missed the last executive committee meeting. I wasn't able to be there due to the last round of candidates at the end. But my amendment would be that we would grant an interview for anybody that was qualified in that second round of candidates that came in before we go to item A.
First we called for, is there a motion to approve other action item A? And then is there a second? There's a second. Now we go to discussion on it. Agatha, now we go to discussion on it.
So there's a motion to amend, is there a second to that motion to amend?
I'm not sure what you want to amend. You just want to table it? Or what do you mean by, what would you want to amend? Now you've got a motion to approve it, and he already had a motion.
Well, we were in the discussion of the motion.
I'm trying to clarify, so I
Okay.
know how to vote here, but he made a motion to amend, and you took a motion to approve.
I'd asked for a motion to approve it. And then Lonnie spoke
wanted to amend it.
But there was no second, so we proceeded without a second to get a motion and a second on the item as listed, and then he made another motion to amend, seeking again a second.
So what is your motion?
Probably didn't articulate it correctly, but my understanding is in the second round of applications that came in,
I'm sorry, you really cannot speak about executive session items in a public meeting. That is the essence of the privacy and personnel process for anyone who applied. And I would just really remind the board of that, for everyone.
but I would just say that if there were qualified applicants that came in the second round, I think it's our duty to interview.
I'm not giving that opinion. I'm just saying I don't want to talk about things that occurred in executive session.
I don't want to talk.
Having an executive session.
She doesn't want to
Talk
talk.
about that if you want to reveal information, but the time to talk about that is not in the session to reveal confidential information.
Right.
Why is it confidential? How many people apply?
We, okay, do we have,
But it should not be discussed here.
right, do we, I'm just gonna ask if we have a second.
Do you want to have an executive session just to talk about what you want to do? I'm just asking.
He knows what he wants
Do
to
you
do.
want, I mean,
Like,
Do it.
is it
Do
gonna
it.
be good?
Do it.
Do it.
He's always everybody. Do it.
Because it's obvious to everybody in this room, but we still need to go hide in the closet.
You do? Okay, all right, so we're gonna, take a short break and. Call back to order. Lonnie, I'll control. Okay. So we have a motion then. We did have the motion, and we have a second. Okay. And is there any more discussion? Okay. Can we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Barlow? Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiscato?
Yes.
Mr. LaFever?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mrs. Mikesel?
No.
Mr. Whitcomb?
Abstain.
And Mr. Hatter?
Yes. Okay, motion is approved. Update on the elementary playground.
On the wall was actually a drawing to the best I can do for you at the moment. What is currently being quoted by 2 companies. At the next board meeting, I'm hoping that PTO will be here to present a check so that on the next day, after the budget's approved, and as long as the board chooses not to make any more cuts and the money stays in, then we can contact the company that has the lowest bid and we get this taken care of. Those companies have guaranteed me that the playground will be in place by August the 18th.
Which playground is that? The big one. It's the big one?
Yeah. It is a big one. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Students expressed an interest in Foursquare. I don't know what we have.
We do have actually, we already currently have Foursquare and we will, ask Howie to repaint the lines because the lines are a little, bleached. I can't believe you put those on Foursquare. Wait, I have one more thing. Okay, I just want to make the board aware of something. It's actually board policy 5130.4 that says kindergarten, the ideal classroom enrollment is 18 students to 1 teacher. An aide will be considered when the enrollment reaches 25 and 30 students. An additional classroom will be considered. I'm reading this to you because we are currently at 22 students. We are at 66 students, which would be 22 per classroom. So just giving you a heads up that I may be coming back to you.
All right, we have a motion for adjournment. We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Are we done?
Yep.